Well, hello, everyone. This is Tracy Randall with Generational Health, and I'm so excited today to have an incredible man here that I'm interviewing. All of you have been waiting for this time to happen, and here it is live. We have Bob Wright, the founder of the American Anti-Cancer Institute, right here with us tonight. He's going to be sharing some great information. I'm going to share a little bit of information about the AACI before we get started, but I'd love for you to come on and let them hear your voice tonight, Bob.
Well, I'm just delighted to be here once again, and I look forward to having a good time together.
Absolutely. We're going to push through. Both of us are a little bit technically challenged, but we're going to make this happen, and I'm really excited to have you as my guest today and as part of my arsenal. What you may not realize, Bob, is every Monday I do on my timeline live something called Tracy's Arsenal, your battle plan for better health. So this is a part of that program, and we're going to be hopefully doing some ongoing interviews with you. And I know that we have a lot of people that are excited to hear from you. But let me go ahead and introduce you officially for those people who may be new to the American Anti-Cancer Institute. You know, over the past couple of days, as we began to promote this event, we shared the Facebook page, and we've had a lot of new people come on and like the AACI Facebook page. But for those of you who are new to who Bob is and what the American Anti-Cancer Institute represents, we're a nonprofit that educates on the natural treatment and prevention of disease, especially cancer. And Bob is the founder and also has written an incredible book, which we'll be sharing with you here in just a moment. And so we're so excited to have Bob on. I've got the title of his book there on the screen, and I'm excited to have you on tonight, Bob. What I'd like to share with the people that are viewing this live and who will be viewing this in the future, please help support the AACI by sharing this video. I see that we have some people that are joining us live, Bob, and as they're coming on, I'm going to ask you to share this video, to comment, to give Bob some love. He's excited to be here. This is what excites Bob more than anything, is to educate. And so thank you again, Bob, for taking time tonight to share this information with us.
Thank you. I'm delighted once again to be here, and I hope we can continue this, and because we've got a lot of information, we've got a lot of things that people need to know, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
We are too, absolutely. So what we did, Bob, is last week we did a short trial test interview, and we talked a little bit already about this, but I'd like to set the stage, and I see that we do have people joining us. I see that we do have people joining us, but last week, I've got a little echo in the studio, so hold on. Okay, there it goes. All right. We did a short interview last week. We talked a little bit about this, but according to your book, what is our only defense against disease, including cancer?
Well, you'd think that it's a secret because the doctors don't seem to know. They're beginning to discover it. Obviously, it's the human immune system, the God-given immune system that we have to battle anything that is thrown against us. And that includes cancer, diabetes, heart disease, chronic illness of any kind, even the common cold. It's the human immune system. It works if you treat it right.
Absolutely. We know that a strong immune system is our only defense against cancer and from cancer growing in our body. What I'd like to when you go out and when you speak and you do events, you talk about, and even in your book that we've already mentioned and put on the screen earlier, even in your book, you when you speak at events, you talk about 5 simple steps that we can take to create wellness, to create a life of health. And I'd love for you just to quickly share what those steps are, and we're going to talk about one of them tonight.
Yes, we are, and I look forward to that as well. But first of all, you need the right diet. Without the right diet, everything kind of goes south, and you will compromise the other things you're doing without the right diet. And then you need the right water, you need the right supplementation, you need the right detoxification, and you need exercise if you're able. These are the 5 simple ingredients which, as simple as they they have a tendency to be difficult for many people. We'll talk about that as well.
Absolutely. You know, I love Jim Rohn, and Jim says what's easy to do is easy not to do, right? We all know what to do, but you do have a particular protocol that you really have researched. You've absolutely done that. And I know that you are passionate about the right water. I've heard you speak about this many times. Can you share with the listening audience tonight what is, in your estimation, the right water and why? Now, look, Bob, I know that you can talk about this for a lifetime. I've been to your events, but go ahead and share the information with us.
Well, this is, we joke a little about it, but because people think this is just water, but it's much more than water. And it was so serious to me, especially with cancer patients and people with chronic illness, that we went out and tried to discover what cancer patients could actually drink. Because everybody wants to drink these bottled waters, these RO, reverse osmosis, distilled waters, not understanding what they really and truly are. And they want to drink Gatorade, you know, full of all these good electrolytes and mineral waters and things like that. Again, not understanding where these come from and what really constitutes them. So we went out and discovered, ultimately through this search, ionized water, and then specifically Kangen water. And so we went to learn about it because we research everything. If somebody tells me this is good, even if I like them a lot, I don't necessarily take their word for it. So we did research on this, and you can read it in chapter 6. I cover it in detail and in depth about what this water is: ionized water with high alkalinity, oxidation reduction potential, which I think is the most important, hydration. So it's not just water, folks, and the science and the research behind this prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt.
So I know that you held up your water bottle. I'm not 100% sure if the listeners were able to see that. We do have it on the screen, but your recommendation for the right water is a water by a company called Enagic, correct?
That is correct. And they produce out of their machine something they call Kangen water. And I know it's Kangen and not Kangen or Kangen because my machine talks to me and tells me so. It's produced by the Enagic company. And so this is water that, to me, is really the Rolls Royce of ionized water. There's many companies out there that produce equipment now that makes ionized water. And that's, for those of you who don't know, the splitting of the water molecule into acid and alkaline. And we can go a little further in depth with that. But they all seem to come up a little bit short. And that's where Enagic and the Kangen water really shine. And it's because of how they make their equipment and how it's designed to be used in doing that ionized process. And so we haven't found anything yet that compares. And we've always told people, show us one that works and prove it to us, and we'll forward your equipment as well. No one's been able to do that yet.
Absolutely. And I know that we have some Enagic people here that are watching us, viewing us, because they've been huge supporters of the American Anti-Cancer Institute because of your endorsement and because you have done the research and not just, as you said, taken people's word for it, but really looked at the science behind it. We've got Brody here on the line that says she loves my water. I've been putting up several other comments as well from people. I've got someone named Chris here who's watching us live saying that they've been saving up to get their own system. And speaking of that, Bob, I want you to share as much information about Kangen water, why it's so important. Like I said earlier, I've gone to your workshops, been a part of your workshops, and you spend a lot of time really educating on the Kangen water, why it is so powerful, and why it's your #1 recommendation when it comes to water. A lot of times in the audience, you'll have people say, well, you know, until I get my Kangen machine or whatever, what about those ionized waters that you can buy in the grocery store? They say they're ionized. What's the real difference, Bob?
Well, again, we don't have enough time for me to tell you everything about this, but the ionization of water is a process of cracking the water molecule and splitting it into hydroxyl ions, the OH minus, which is the healing, the voltage, the negative voltage. Healing is voltage, folks. Don't forget that. And it equates to pH. 25 minus 25 millivolts, which is minimal, you would think, but that's where the human cell runs at. And if you're not there, your body is not going to run properly. And we're all acidic, let's face it, unless you've been doing something to change that. And that's what the Kangen water does, is changes that. But you go to the store and buy any kind of bottled water. I don't care if they're calling it ionized, or you're buying the Aquafinas or the Dasanis, which are basically municipal water systems that have been filtered. I don't really care to drink that. I don't care to drink bottled water except in an emergency. But you really can't call something that's been bottled for a long period of time ionized, because it will lose its oxidation reduction potential. It's the first thing to go. That's why we all need one of these machines on our counter so we can drink this water fresh. And I can show you, you show me one of those bottles and we'll do the testing on it, and you will see what the true alkalinity is of it. And it's probably not what they say it is, although some will hold alkalinity for a while. But the most important thing, that negative charge, that oxidation reduction potential, it can't be present in that bottle in an alkaline form over a period of time. It doesn't work that way, because heat and light and motion, and there's many things that affect it and draw down that ORP and take it from a negative millivoltage to a positive. And then it's not a reducer anymore. It is adding free radicals to your body, not minimizing them or neutralizing them. So it's hard for me to accept or believe, and I simply don't, that you can buy a bottle in a store that is truly ionized water.
You know, which is a shame, because people are paying good money for those bottles of water in the stores. And I read in your book, I was kind of doing some reminding myself of some of the things that you shared about Kangen water and the importance of it. And you'd mentioned that those bottled waters have been sitting probably, you know, it's 2 years from the time they bottle it till it actually is sitting on the store shelves. So, you know, it's really important that people know where they're spending their money. And I know you talked about testing the alkalinity of the water that people are drinking. How do you suggest that people do that? And, you know, how accurate is that?
Well, there's several ways. You know, most people can just do it with ordinary pH paper, get a good brand of it, and you can check the alkalinity that way. You can get a little meter to check the alkalinity. And the ORP is measured with a voltmeter, or what's just called on the internet a straight ORP meter. And you can measure the negative charge on the water that way. And you'll find that with Kangen water, depending on the source, the municipal source, whether it's your own well, which has a tendency to be to start out being much more alkaline anyway, or if it's a municipal water system, you can see readings from minus 350. We've seen them all the way to minus 900. It is the best and most effective way to alkalinize the human body. It used to be organic foods as much as you could eat, specifically vegetables. Now it's Kangen water, the best way in the world that we know of to alkalinize the human body now, which is imperative for cancer patients and most Americans, because we acidify our bodies over time by what we put on our bodies, what we put in our bodies, the foods we eat, and so on and so forth. It's a never-ending onslaught on the human body of acidity. We need to change that.
Right. You know, there's so much going around. It's very simple. This information is so simple, but so important. And so many times you hear that cancer can't grow in an alkaline environment. Can you kind of elaborate on that and share? Is that really the truth? And you know, how important is the Kangen water to that? And is that really true?
Well, some people will argue. And there are some people that we have seen, very few, but who will have perhaps a lymphoma or a leukemia, a blood type cancer, who do measurements of their own pH and find out that they are already slightly alkaline. So largely it's true that cancer will not grow in an alkaline environment, but there are a few cases where there is a possibility of that. And we all know there's aberrations. We all know that people that undergo chemotherapy You know, most of them don't heal, the majority, almost all of them, but we know that some do. And we have to account for that. And so we have to account that there could be cancer patients out there, a few of them, that have an alkaline environment. But in large part, it is true that cancer will not grow in that environment, an oxygenated environment, because cancer does not like oxygen, doesn't like hydrogen either. Active hydrogen is a free radical scavenger as well. And so what we try and do is boost through 9.5 largely pH water that alkalinity within the body. And we even go to the 11.5. And of course, even the Enagic company itself says don't drink the 11.5. It's too high pH because it's 100 times more alkaline than the 9.5. Well, guess what? I've got some 11.5 water here. And it's like the people who told me, the FDA, particularly not to eat apricot kernels because they had cyanide and they would kill me. Well, here's 11.5 pH water, folks. I'm still alive, you know? And
Right.
the point being made here is don't believe everything you hear. And we don't. That's why we test and research everything.
Right.
We know of a woman with end-stage cancer, 3 months to live, lung cancer. She started drinking the 11.5 water. She was in her mid-70s at that time. And she started with a 9.5, and she asked the person who sold her the machine, do you have anything more powerful? He said, well, yeah, 11.5, but no one recommends that you drink that. Well, this lady said, what have I got to lose? She drank it. And we're not saying that Kangen water heals cancer or anything. We can't say that. No one can say that. It's the immune system, remember? It's the human immune system. But this woman within 120 days had no cancer in her body. She gave it to her son with end-stage lymphoma. 90 days, no cancer in his body. And people can call these anecdotal all they want. But what we see, especially for end-stage cancer patients, is this 11.5, and the high alkalinity, which we're talking about, makes a difference. And again, we're not saying it heals cancer. We're saying it makes a difference. And it helps that homeostasis of the body, strengthening the immune system, bringing the epigenetics of the body back under control and in alignment. Not the genetics, the epigenetics, the software. And it brings it back into alignment. And that's what brings us healing.
I love it. And I'm going to give a bit of feedback. Hopefully that'll clear itself up. But I did go ahead and make sure that we put a disclaimer there on the screen that the American Anti-Cancer Institute, Generational Health, Enagic, Kangen, anyone that we're talking about, any company, we don't claim to diagnose, cure, or heal any disease, but what we know is that when you put the right nutrition in your body, when you treat your body right, your body's the miracle. It knows exactly what to do, and it heals itself. And I know that that's important to you, Bob, to make that disclaimer, make sure that everyone knows that. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And we say that all the time. And even in my book, I don't say it cures anything. I don't say that these 5 steps we had, any one of those or the total of them together cures cancer or anything else. It's the immune system. But when you support it correctly, when you give it the right nutrients, we're talking about the cell voltage. You need -50 to heal the cell, -25 at plus to have a normal cell. But you also need the right ingredients. So you need to pour the right nutrients in. So when you put all of this together, it makes perfect sense. And it's actually what has been supporting the immune system for millennia for human beings.
Right.
We haven't had drugs since the early 1900s. And it's a very poor substitute for what really works with none of those nasty side effects.
Absolutely. I want to make 2 more quick points about Enagic, and then I want to move on to something else. But I also want to hold on just a minute. I'm getting some outside interruption. 1 second. I also want to make it really clear, and what I love about the Enagic system is that you mentioned it already, but the viewers may have missed this, is that when someone purchases a Kangen machine, a person comes with that machine to help them know how to use the machine, help them work the machine, and just teaches them some of this information. And I think that's hugely important. You know, I don't know if you want to comment on that at all.
Well, it's not a complex machine, but there are certain things that you have to know. There's not just one water that comes out. Well, it looks like one water, but you can have 2.5 pH water. Of course, we wouldn't drink that, but it's one of the greatest disinfectants and antibacterials known to man. You can have beauty water at about 6.0 or so, and that's what you'd wash your face with. And you can have 8.5, which is, now we're getting into the alkaline waters, 9.0, 9.5, 11.5. You need to know how to use these. People use the 11.5. They put a bunch in their sink and wash all their vegetables and fruits with it because it gets off any pesticides, herbicides, anything. You'll see if you're buying non-organic produce that your water, when you're done washing all of these, is yellow with all those herbicides and pesticides coming off. And so it's excellent for this. It'll actually help your fruit and vegetables to last longer in the refrigerator as well. But as you know, I have a tendency to drink the 11.5 too, and I'm not afraid of it.
I hear you. I hear you. So it comes with someone that will help you, educate you on those waters. One thing that I know about the Kangen water that I love is the beauty water that you talked about. We put it in a spray bottle and spritz our face with it and our body, and it helps our skin look so beautiful and healthier, and it hydrates that skin. That's so important, especially as we age. So there you go. But another thing is, and we're running out of time, and I know I'm going to have you back to hear for more information about this, but it's not just for people with disease. Of course, we know that it will keep the immune system strong, but I've heard people who've had insect bites, who've had burns, who've had wounds that wouldn't heal, and they actually spray the water. In fact, I have my own testimony with Kangen. I actually had a cancerous place on my back in 2015. The dermatologist removed it, and it was quite a big incision. But I will say that the oncologist that saw me said that it was aggressive melanoma, but my immune system had stopped it from going into my lymphatic system, and it created a scar tissue, a barrier to stop that cancer from growing into those damaged cells to grow into my lymphatic, into my that second layer of skin. But I did have him remove the cancerous cells, and it was quite a big incision, and they took a big chunk out of my back, and it was painful, but I sprayed the Kangen water on that wound, and when I went back to the oncologist just 6 weeks later, he could not believe how the wound had healed so quickly, and he thought that he'd seen me many months ago. He had to take a second look at the chart. So maybe just speak on some of the other benefits of the Kangen water, if you would.
Well, speaking to that, to begin with, we mentioned that the 2.5 is an antibacterial, and we've seen it take away flesh-eating bacteria and things of this nature. And because it's kind of like colloidal or ionic silver, it basically kills almost every bacteria known to man, and viruses as well sometimes. So on the outside, you can spray the 2.5. Yeah, very acidic, but very killing of bacteria. And then you can use the 11.5 as well, because it's the very, very alkaline and the anti-inflammatory. And what is disease? Disease is acid. Disease is inflammation, which begets pain and begets cancer and everything else that we know of. So by utilizing that 11.5, then soaking your feet in it, arthritics soaking their hands in it, it makes a difference because of the science behind it. It's built to make that difference. It's the constituents within it that make that difference. And we know it because we see it almost every day.
I'm always blown away by the testimonies, and again, when you have your own testimony about something, it's important. It did take away that pain as well. I sprayed it multiple times a day on my back, and it was hurting. It was very painful, and I saw immediate relief. And I've seen some incredible testimonies with Kangen water. So our time is about out, and we've only scratched the surface. But the great news is we're going to come back next Monday, October October 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll have another segment of Tracy's Arsenal with Bob Wright. Bob, before we close out tonight, you were in Atlanta in April of this year, and you spoke for 2 days at a health summit that we called Get Mad About Cancer. Make a decision that cancer won't touch you or the ones that you love. And I'd love for you to share the stats about cancer today, mainly not to frighten people, but to really hopefully motivate people to take action with their health. Can you share why this information is so important?
We know that 1 out of 3 women, actually it's closer to 1 out of 2 now, and 1 out of 2 men, almost a full 50% of people will have a cancer episode. In most cases, it's fatal through conventional medicine in their lifetime. Our lives are being shortened by cancer today. We didn't have these problems years ago. Of course, we didn't have all of the chemicals and the radiation and everything that bombards us every day. Cancer is now the #1 killer by disease of children 14 and under. This just shouldn't be so, and yet we know why it is, and it goes back to those same things we just discussed. So what we did in Atlanta over those 2 days is and if people get a chance to get a hold of this program, do it, because we covered so much ground in those 10 days. We covered stem cell information. We covered CBDs. Many people are interested in this. Hemp oil, cannabis oil. We covered ionic silver. We covered so much ground there that it's almost like a book. It's not like one of these episodes where we talk about a few things. We covered so much ground. So it's very important for people to get the whole story. Right. And that's why I encourage people to acquire that program if they can.
Well, and we have made it available. I'm so excited about this. We've made it available on a downloadable link. And when someone goes to our website, getmadaboutcancer.com, that's getmadaboutcancer.com, they can purchase the downloadable link. It's right there available. They'll get it within 24 hours of their purchase. And like you said, it's 6 hours, 2 power-filled days, new product lines, new services, just some education that goes in depth, not just about Kangen water and the 5 components that you talk about in your book, but just as you mentioned about so many other new technologies that are on the rise, just some simple things that people can do to make an impact on their health. So if you would go to that website, if you haven't gotten that link, haven't done that already, it is now available. And we've also added your book, Killing Cancer Not People, to that same link to make it very, very simple for people to find the information at their fingertips when they want it and need it. And you know what I always encourage people to do is get the education prior to the diagnosis. Bob, you know how important this is. When you are in the midst of the diagnosis, it's almost impossible to figure out what to do. We need to be educated prior to that diagnosis, whether it be our own personal diagnosis, a diagnosis of a loved one, or a family member or a friend. We must be educated. Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. And we can't say the cure word in our business. I know allopathic medicine uses it all the time, although it's a false narrative that they have. But where we can say it is prevention is the real cure. And we need to understand that. And the book and the information that we're getting out there now, I mean, think about it. What heals prevents, and what prevents heals. And so this book and these videos, they're about prevention. They're about healing the human immune system. They're about doing what's right to keep your body healthy and whole.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to let our viewers know that if you are a Kangen distributor, if you're part of the Enagic family, we encourage you to share this video, brand yourself as who you are, let people know that they can get the information from you. If you are looking for a Kangen machine or want to know more about the Kangen water, Bob and I are available to answer those questions. We want you to email us at productsaaci@gmail.com. And I know that we'll have that up on the screen shortly. It's products, at aaci@gmail.com. Any questions, anything about any of the products that Bob's spoken about the Kangen water, please feel free to connect with us. So again, Bob, we have your book and the Get Mad About Cancer Workshop Health Summit on a downloadable link on the website, Get Mad About Cancer. And we are excited about an ongoing series of interviews with you where we'll be learning more about your 5-step protocol, more about some of the products that you talked about at the Health Summit and wherever you go. And we are so incredibly thankful for your time tonight. We know that you are, just like all of us, extremely, extremely busy, but your heart is to educate and to empower families to walk in complete health and wellness. And we know we love you so much, and we appreciate your time tonight, and I know everyone else does too.
Well, Tracy and Carol, thank you so much for hosting this. Like I said last week, we could have a new show every Monday from here to eternity. We can keep going. And this is stuff that we all need to know. I mean, there's little tidbits, there's major things, and things are constantly changing. And so we want to see you next week. And I learn something all the time. I go looking for stuff all the time. And this will give you an opportunity to build yourself up in knowledge and understanding, not just regarding cancer, but all health and healing.
Absolutely. And please support the AACI by liking the page as well, because we know the more likes the page gets, the more people will see it. We don't quite understand how social media works quite yet, do we, Bob?
Yeah, that's a fact. And have everybody subscribe to our free newsletter too. Folks, it's free. It comes out about the first of every month. Just go onto our website and scroll down to the Wright stuff and subscribe free. It comes to you electronically.
Absolutely. We'll get that Wright stuff. I think, let me go ahead and make sure that we get that posted for you. Hold on just a minute. I've got some thank yous coming in. We've had some great people joining us live tonight. We would also like to know if there's a better time that might work into our, and we'll be mixing it up a little bit. Next Monday, it's at 7 p.m. Eastern time once again, and we'll be promoting exactly what Bob's going to be sharing. But I hope everyone has enjoyed this, and I know that it's going to be powerful, powerful information. Here comes that newsletter, the Wright Stuff, free newsletter. And actually, if you email productsaaci@gmail.com, we'll also make sure you get on that mailing list for the newsletter. I noticed that I had one in my inbox today, Bob. I can't wait to read it. Always full of such powerful information. And remember, folks that are listening, the AACI is a nonprofit. The way that Bob is able to continue to do what he does is through the sale of his book, through the sale of the downloadable link of the Get Mad About Cancer Health Summit, and your donations. So it's really important that you support Bob and what he's doing moving forward, because we want this information to get into the hands of everyone. And again, Bob, I am going to close out. I wish we had more time, but absolutely, you have been amazing as always. We appreciate you so, so much. We love you. Thank you for all your hard work to make sure that we stay healthy.
Well, thank you guys very much, and let's carry on.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.